Good morning, America. How are ya? Monday Morning Rail. Hi, I'm Denny Jelsma, and I'm at the world-famous Jacksonville Terminal Railroad Museum. Today is Monday, and you know what we do on Monday? You guessed it. We always do show and tell. Show and tell is always brought to you by Jelsma Graphics, the people that make all the railroad embroidery clothing, the hats, the jackets, the shirts, the club shirts, railroad shirts, you name it. Go to jelsma.com and shop until you drop. Now, with all that being said, I want to thank all the people that watch us. We just had a video that went on Facebook that hit over 18,500 views, and we just say thank you. We really appreciate that. Number two and I and Richard does most of the videos. We just stand amazed. Now, remember, Richard New has a 8x10 glossy. He'll be glad to sign any of these. He has great following and fanfare. He'll be glad to sign a glossy, or if you see him at a show, or you can come by the museum and sign here. And then don't forget our favorite number two. He has his 8x10. He'll be glad to sign your glossy anytime. He's at a lot of shows with me. And once again, we're just so honored to have the world famous Andrew Casey of North Florida Rail, a very popular railroad photographer in North Florida. Follow him on North Florida Rails. He also has 8x10 glossies, and he just has a great following. And stop by any Monday and he'll be glad to sign one. And with all that said, show and tell is going to start right now. Monday morning show and tell is starting right now, and I am so excited about these cars because I always talk about passenger cars, and we've got some unique freight cars that we're going to talk about. And number two and I are going to explain the different odysseys of these cars, and so I'm kind of excited about that. So let's just get right into the show and tell. Our first car is a gondola, and you know, here down here in the South, they haul a lot of pulpwood and what we call fat lighter. I don't know what the technical term is, but it's a stump, and all of the sap goes in down there, and they make turpentine and a whole bunch of other stuff. And they stick them in these cars, and this is a short gondola, and gondolas are such a unique car. It's kind of like a box car. It's an open, you can call it box car, that they could throw anything. They could throw steel, they could throw, you've seen watermelons, you've seen, you name it, you've seen that in a gondola. Well, this here, down here in the South, where we have a lot of the pulpwood, they'll haul stumps, and the reason why they put these holes in the bottom is to drain the dirt, and when it rains, and that could just go out the side, because these are really dirty cars when they would put stump to make the fat lighter in and take it to the mill to process. And so number two, you've got some other things you can tell about this car.
Yeah. The closest destination for this car would have been the Hercules Power Company explosives plant. That's one of the things that they did a lot with these. That was in Brunswick, Georgia, and it was served by the Atlantic coastline. This particular car, and this information I took off the decals on the side, had a capacity of 140,000 pounds. It had an empty weight of 38,300 pounds, and it was built new in 9 of 57.
Wow.
So that's this car. And some people used to say that those holes, they weren't really for rain, they were to let the snakes out. But yeah, that might be just an old railroader's tale.
Or a wives' tale.
Yeah, it could be too.
Yep. That is interesting. And there are a lot of snakes down here. Our next car that we want to talk about is a double dome tank car, and this here is scratch built by Mike Stamey, and many times the railroads would have a customer that would need a particular type of liquid, so, a fuel of something, and they would have maybe 2 orders, but only a certain amount of low density amount of gallons, and then the other one would be a large amount. So what they did is they took a car and they adapted and they put a divider in here, and they had a fourth of one particular type of fuel or liquid on this side, and then the majority of the liquid on this side. So it was a very unique car, and you did some research on this car also.
Yeah, and the other thing about these 2-dome tank cars is almost all of them that you see have the domes evenly spaced, so they probably had equal volumes on either side. This one has a capacity of 2,547 in the smaller size and a capacity of 5,348 gallons in the larger size. Also has a 100,000 pound load limit. It weighed 43,800 pounds, and it was built in February of 1918. And yes, 1918.
Wow.
So that's that car.
Well, and another unique car, because today we were talking about unique or odd cars that the railroads had, was this car here that was just full of wheels. And it has actually 4 trucks under this 40. Isn't this a 40-footer?
Yeah, I think it is.
And so what they did is that the Baltimore and Ohio needed a car that would haul a lot of weight in a smaller car, and they came up with this car. And you've got some more information on that car.
Yeah, again, this had a capacity of 120,000 pounds. The car itself weighed 42,500 pounds. It was built in 3 of 1912. And what I think is interesting about this is you look at this. Here we have a car that had 4 four-wheel trucks and 120,000 pound capacity. The Gone that we looked at had 140,000 pound capacity, but only had 2 trucks. Of course, it was 40 years newer, but just an idea of the difference between a car from the teens and a car from the 50s.
And part of that also is the weight of the rail increased.
It has to do with the weight of the rail, and again, the idea that the kind of construction it is.
And just really interesting and fascinating. And as everybody knows, I'm into passenger trains, but I really like these unique cars. Another unique car that I've always been fascinated, and what got my first interest in the next car was when I was a kid. Lionel had a train that had a big yellow or orange spool, and that car always was fascinating. But this here is what we call the low boy, and it was designed for very heavy machinery loads, and like this load here is packed in a canvas to protect it. But you got some more statistics on this.
Yeah, I've only got a little bit on this one because the decaling is certainly not as extensive as on the other cars, but it does have a 310 pound capacity.
And that's a lot of.
That's a lot. And again, you compare that at 310,000 with the B&O car that we just looked at, and kind of compare the two with 120,000. This more modern car, carries 2.5 times the weight.
Well, and then the center of gravity, it was lower, so it was more flexible for, let's say, going around curves and stuff like that. So it was a safer load. And this car here for our New York Central was a New York Central, but most of the railroads in America had this particular type of car. The next car is, I just thought was so unique. It's once again, it's a gondola, and it's the Pittsburgh Lake Erie out of Pittsburgh, but it was the New York Central subsidiary. But this is really an odd load, and what I want to talk about is that the shipper that shipped this load would spend a lot of money and time on building protection for this car to ride. You got to remember, most of these had wooden floors. I mean, they were steel, but then they had wood, so they could build a protection around the car itself to hold the load in. And so, what do you have to say about this particular car?
Well, again, we look at the again, it's another 140,000 pound capacity car. Weight was 50,600 pounds, and it was new in 1923. And again, on our particular railroad, this can go to an industry. A lot of times it ends up on the dock, either as an export load or an import load. So that's what we can say about that one.
Okay, now, freight cars. Excuse me. We couldn't pass the day up with my favorite subject, and that is passenger cars. This next passenger car is really a special car, and it is a rebuilt car for the Atlantic coastline. Now, the railroads had a lot of coaches, and when they started really going after the vacationer, they started making the amenities a lot better for the traveling public. And so what the Atlantic coastline did is they took an old coach and they added the air conditioner to it, and they made this a lounge car, and like a cafe lounge car. And it was just naturally, the bean counters always wanted to make money, so it did bring in some revenue from the bar and the sandwiches and other. But the whole purpose of this car was to just make a nice meeting place. It was comfortable, and it got the traveling public into a more open space. This is scratch built by Mike Stamey, who is a member here at the Jacksonville Terminal Railroad Museum, and he makes that's what he does for a living, is he makes cars. And so he made this car. There's two of these cars. The other one is the Augusta, and the window arrangement is a little bit different. I think the Augusta has a little smaller windows, but this here is just another kind of a unique car. Here there's two cars, and more than likely this was put on, naturally, I can almost guarantee you, and I know it was put on a Florida train. And so the traveling public had a capability of going back into a nice lounge car. And the railroad loved the six-wheel trucks because they really ran and rode very smoothly. And so that's my passenger cars, and that's what we have for the unique cars of the railroad. And so once again, we just thank all the listeners that watch us week after week, and we just say thank you. You can see us on Facebook and also on YouTube. We have far more viewers on Facebook. On Facebook, once again, we just hit 18,500 views of our show and tell. And so we here at the world famous Jacksonville Terminal really are proud of the items that we bring. And once again, we're just model railroaders that we meet and we like to show off. I call our toys, but our beautiful assets that we run on our model railroad here. And with that, all that being said, that's the way it is at the world famous Jacksonville Terminal Railroad Museum in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida, where the sun always shines and running trains is a pleasure in peace and harmony and a controlled atmosphere.